Okay, welcome everyone. Random BP&Chill with Corey Cottrell and Jimmy D. Corey Cottrell is sleeping, but he's here in spirit because that's what we do. We're super excited today to have Tim, who's kind of become my, mentor in a lot of ways in things that he does in the EOS and the block producer space from GenerEOS. GenerEOS, as Corey and I mentioned a couple times on the show, was one of the first block producers that ever kind of came up onto our radar. Because like early back in the day when the chain was kind of first founded, you guys came up with the Eos Toolkit, which at that time everybody was using. It was pretty much the most useful tool at the time on the market, where people were able to actually come in and interact with the airdrops, and since then you've done a lot of things. You've launched the genpool.io. You're looking at charity. You're looking at various aspects in the EOS and EOSIO space. So yeah, thanks for joining us here on the channel today, Tim. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. It's great to be here. This is actually one of my first live interviews in a while. The space has just been so busy lately that it's actually like hard to get time to sit down and have a chat with somebody and get to go through everything. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, did you want me to just give like a bit of an intro to myself, Jimmy?
Yeah, so who are you for people who might not know? Because like this channel, there's about 50% of the people who are kind of in EOS. They know what blockchain is, and maybe a few people who are just coming here, because of the uplift world and things like that. Yeah, so who are you? What do you do? What is GenerEOS? And I don't know, maybe what's your favorite animal? Just to keep
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm Tim. I'm from Sydney in Australia. And yeah, so I've been into blockchain since around 2011, which was just Bitcoin, just kind of was interested in the whole space and how the economics of it worked. And then around 3 years ago, I heard about a guy named Dan Larimer. I was always kind of interested in smart contracts platforms. And then I heard of a guy named Dan Larimer just in my research on smart contracts platforms. And I really resonated with his morals. He's like a very kind of humble type of person. And he's really truthful in what he does. And he's also a genius coder. So I got really involved in his projects. And then like he had Steam and BitShares and things like that. And then he released EOS. And then I started reading the white paper of EOS and really started to understand the mechanics and how delegated proof of stake would actually end up becoming a more efficient blockchain than things like proof of work, like Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I read in the white paper that there needed to be block producers, which would be these people that would kind of be similar to what a miner is on Bitcoin. And that really sparked my interest, just because the way that it aligned incentives, a block producer needs to get people's votes in order to produce blocks, unlike in proof of work where they needed to have computational power, and that's how they kind of earn their position. Whereas that earning votes really aligns incentives. It means I have to go out there and I have to create tools and I have to develop things for the community to earn those votes to produce those blocks. And I thought that was genius. So I kind of got together a team of people in Australia. One is Ralph Weenan, another one is Nathan Rempel, which I'm sure you guys have probably heard of. And then we've later expanded and we've got people like Data Junkie, and actually Jimmy, you help out as well with some of our social channels. And yeah, so we jumped in, created Eos Toolkit, which was one of the first ways to interact with EOS, because at that stage, Block One really had developed nothing. We had a chain that was live, but there was no way to actually do anything, send tokens, change keys, do any of that stuff. So Nathan on our team actually didn't sleep for around 2 weeks, and he developed Eos Toolkit. And it still is used. It was a really useful tool back in the day. These days, the ecosystem is much more developed, and there's some really cool wallets out there like Anchor and things like that. Whereas Eos Toolkit is just an open sourced way that people could interact in the early days. And then leading on from that, we created Genpool, which is a voting rewards exchange. It's just basically like staking rewards built on top of EOS, which has been quite successful as well. And yeah, as Jimmy said, we've been doing a lot of charity work in between. We are a charitable block producer from day dot. We like intended to give 20% of our awards away to social causes. Obviously, when the market is the way that it is and there's no profit in it, it's hard to give away profit when there is none. But we've been trying to give away as much as we can here and there. So yeah, we really resonate with a lot of the work that Blue is doing, a lot of work that Uplift Art and things like that are doing. And at the moment, we're actually heavily involved in the NFT space. I actually had a meeting today with the exec team at Wax, and yeah, so we're kind of heading in that direction, building out some cool NFT products, and the amount of demand at this stage in the NFT world is like mind blowing. So it's really cool to see EOSIO really flexing its muscles against some of the other chains. And I think this whole community over the next couple of years is really going to see like more and more action in the EOSIO space.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at what the price movements in Ethereum have been doing for the last few days, even right when everything else is kind of stalling, it's unbelievable to me that that these things are still happening. And so like I think to go back to what you were saying, right? Like Dan might have got a bit of a bad rap in the overall crypto space because of things like BitShares and then like not being able to do what he wanted to do with it. And I like to actually think about it in a way as almost like he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways. I think he is still ahead of his time in a lot of ways, which is kind of interesting to me to think about, because if you don't know what's going on in EOS, you should probably pay attention, because there's tons of stuff that's happening, behind the scenes with governance, BPs, all of this stuff, which is really cool. Nathan Rempel does a little bit of stuff on the, helping out with some of what we've been doing in the Uplift, greater community world. He's a really interesting guy and funny. If you go back a few months on our channel, well, maybe only 2 months, you'll find him sitting in his living room without a shirt on, live on one of our streams. That was fun.
That's Nathan. Nathan's everywhere. Like you can't control that guy. He just loves to code and loves to innovate, and he loves blockchain and he loves community. So yeah, he's awesome. He's literally probably wrote most of the smart contracts that some of the big kind of like EOSIO projects are building on. He would have had his finger in it in some way, shape, or how. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, so and your other team as well, the rest of the team members. I mean, Data Junkie as well. Like he's everywhere. He's a moderator in a lot of channels. He's really involved with governance and a few other projects as well. And then of course you and Ralph are there, day in, day out, doing awesome stuff. So yeah,
we also had Rob join our team not too long ago as well. So Rob DeWilder, he was the ex-CTO of Worbly, and he was also like global IT director for Sony Music. Is a really good developer, and after Worbly was acquired by UX Network, he was looking for some things to do. So he's joined our team now, and he is invaluable. Like his knowledge of like system level smart contracts is second to none. Like he developed a lot of the stuff for Worbly, and it's super valuable to have him on our team. Like for example, with the staking pools proposal that was put forward by Block One recently, he's going through that and pulling in a lot of the information that he gathered whilst working for Worbly, and helping with like resource models and how we can kind of align and another good additive that we've had to our team lately.
Right. So tell me a little bit. I want to go into the game, and I want to show off what the GenerEOS pot looks like. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about charity, because we're kind of in the process right now of working through this idea that you had and Blue had. We do Gen Pool Spotlight, where we reach out to various BPs and we ask them questions, and some of them are generalized, some of them are specific to their projects. It might be different projects and stuff. And we did our first one a couple weeks ago, I guess, with Blue, and it was so long, it was like a two-parter actually. And and I hosted that with MBlue, and it's good. It's good, because MBlue is one of my favorite people on the planet. We've been working together for a long time, so just to be able to introduce him to this side, he's always loved what you guys have done. I've always loved what you guys have done, and now like being on this side of the thing, helping out with you guys and seeing what they're doing, and looking for this collaborative effort. So MBlue actually he created this NFT called GenerEOS, and this NFT basically he said, let's do something together with GenerEOS, and we'll make a collaborative effort. And what MBlue does with Uplift Art has been primarily involved with the children charity education space. A lot of it relating back to Haiti and those affiliate organizations that he's involved with. You guys are kind of on a different side of the spectrum. Like I remember, I think it was last year, the Australian bushfires happened. You guys donated a bunch of money towards a cause to restore and protect some of the environment there. I think I noticed a lot of what you and Ralph in particular seem to support through the Gen. So you guys have like a Gen Pool or Gen Pool donation account, essentially, that every month you roll over and you support various charities. But a lot of the charities that are involved are environmentally based. And so, yeah, if you could just tell us like why and what kinds of environmental projects does GenerEOS support usually?
Yeah, look, we're just like donating, right? So I'm not like biased to any charitable cause. I think a lot of them are worthy. There is some that are closer to our hearts, and we try and actually have like community input on that. So as you mentioned, we do have an account, which is the charity rewards proxy, which accumulates funds, which we give away usually on a quarterly basis. And we try and engage the community a little bit on where those funds should be allocated. Eventually, one day, we would really like that to be a DAO. We would really like to have complete control over donations via people that are members of the DAO. But until that time comes, until we have the time to actually invest into develop that infrastructure out, we just kind of use sentiment on Twitter and things like that to see where we should donate. But we are very like close to our hearts with the environment. So things around climate change, things around like wildlife regeneration, like with the bushfires and things like that. That's areas that Ralph and I are quite passionate about. So it tends to always come up. And yeah, just going back to what you're saying with the generosity NFT that MBlue created, which is super cool, by the way. I did have an idea which was climate change related, just because like right now in the whole NFT space, I'm sure you're aware, but especially in the Ethereum NFT space, there's huge backlash from the environmental impacts that NFTs are having. So just minting one NFT on Ethereum and then all the associated like transactions with it, it's shown that it can be as much as like 1 month of electricity consumption in a European household just for one NFT, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like it's completely against everything that we're trying to do with blockchain here. Like blockchain is great technology, but at the cost of the planet, I don't think it is. So I really would like to showcase the power of EOSIO, which is actually 17,000 times more energy efficient than Ethereum, and actually 66,000 times more energy efficient than Bitcoin for NFTs. So what I would like to do is to donate EOS with the NFT. So if we auction it off and we accumulate EOS from that, GenerEOS will match that amount of EOS accumulated, and we'll donate it to planting trees to counteract all the emissions that minting NFTs on Ethereum has. So I think it really showcases the power of EOSIO, and it helps the planet from the impact that Ethereum is currently having on it with all this influx of people minting NFTs on, such a power hungry machine.
Yeah, and so for all the critics out there that say, oh, but Ethereum 2.0 is coming. Well, yes, and Ethereum 2.0 might make this better, but how many animals, how many trees, how much of the environment has to be destroyed to, get us to that point, right? And so this is kind of what annoys me in general. I'm known for kind of going on rants, so I won't make this too long because this should be about you. But what annoys me in general about blockchain and EOS in a way is when we look at how these structures are organized and where we've stopped, it doesn't make sense to me. Right? You have this massive DeFi, this massive NFT market on Ethereum, and Ethereum's not capable of handling it to the same level as EOS or Wax or even Cardano. I mean, once they get their shit together and they get stuff working, right? So like, why have we stalled out on Ethereum when there's other chains that can do it so much easier, right? And so like my idea is Ethereum essentially the way that it exists now, it's banking 2.0. It's the monopoly that we tried to break away with, and now they've got a stranglehold on it. And you know, that's my opinion. But like you said, like these processes that we have in EOSIO can really make a difference, not only for people using blockchain, for people using DeFi, for people using NFTs, but for people in general that don't even know what blockchain is, you know, to energy consumption and the planet. So I think that's really cool. You know, your idea was to talk about, you know, carbon footprints of it and to actually show a use case model that can be like presented, which I think is really cool. So for those of you that most of you out there probably know, but like I'm actually a permaculture designer, and yeah, so I really like resonate with this kind of stuff and really believe in it. And you know, permaculture, for people who don't know, was born in Australia. In one of the most remote places, way up like in the highlands or the dry lands of Tasmania, by a guy by the name of Bill Mollison. And like there's like a few animals and a few insects, and he basically looked at it and said, like, this is crazy, I'm just going to create a food forest. And he did it because he looked at the way nature was designed, he looked at the way all these things were designed, and he implemented them, right? And like that's really important in Australia. Like, I mean, environment, protection of species, it's really important, but especially in Australia, because like if something happens to Australia, you guys are completely screwed, right? Like that, there nowhere else can you repopulate it with other animals, right? With other plants, with other species. They exist only in Australia, nowhere else. Like even in New Zealand, you don't find kangaroos, right? Like so. Like,
yeah, that's exactly right. And Australians get pretty protective over the environment as well, so maybe that's where I get it from. But
yeah, they should be for sure.
Yeah, I think the whole like reason why it's still kind of stuck on Ethereum, in my opinion, is just this whole decentralized versus centralized argument that we haven't really seen play out yet. And everyone's of the belief that Ethereum and Bitcoin are completely decentralized, just through like mining and stuff like that. But in reality, you know, 3 mining pools control these platforms. So I think that's why people are really stuck on the whole, you know, keeping all their NFTs on Ethereum and things. And they think EOS is more centralized because we are 21 block producers. But when it actually comes out in play, they'll realize that it's not. It's actually more decentralized, which I hope unfolds over the next, you know, few years. And then people start using EOSIO based blockchains for NFTs and DeFi and things like that, because that's really the only sustainable way forward. We can't afford to keep running, you know, such power hungry machines like Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's not good for the environment. We're already seeing it now, all the sudden changes in temperature and you know, all the impacts that that's having. And we're already seeing it with all the celebrities that are releasing NFTs. Like, for example, the Gorillas recently did an NFT launch, and half their community had backlash around the environmental impacts. So a lot of these celebrities, I think, will drive the change to more sustainable blockchains. And I think we'll start to see that play out over the next few years as well. So I think it's super exciting to be in the EOSIO space right now, because we're just sitting quiet behind the scenes, waiting for all this to unfold, the decentralization, the sustainability aspects of it. And we're quietly building communities here, and where our technology is getting better and better each day. So when it does shift over, we're going to be like ready to engage.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, and a lot of people I think get confused about EOS and what exactly it is. EOS is one chain, and there's a whole plethora of chains that GenerEOS is involved with in some capacity or another, right? Block producing for other EOSIO chains and doing work towards other EOSIO chains. So, and they're all doing something different, right? And that's the thing. Like one of the EOSIO chains that we support closely is Ultra, right? And EOS and their gaming stuff. And if you think about it, right, like even from a sustainable level, it's great. But even from an industry availability level, to have on-chain gaming where people can be in possession of their own items and trade on Ethereum just doesn't work right now. And this is why like even Wax ended up porting from Ethereum back over to EOSIO technology on their own chain, because they just couldn't do what they wanted to do on Ethereum. So I think you're right. It's really exciting as people start to see the benefits of this technology, and this is the technology that is being usable. As gaming companies or IP companies or mainstream financial institutions, which might be onboarded into the EOS mainnet or into the UX network, start to breach into this space, and the world starts to learn about it. Where are people going to go? They're not going to go to Ethereum, which is slow and doesn't work and doesn't make sense. They're going to go to where all the action is. And I think that personally will be, some variant of EOSIO technology somewhere.
Yeah, and like even these competing chains to EOSIO, such as Cardano and Flow, for example, with NFTs, it's still really hard to throw their hat in the ring because like it needs to be battle tested. So EOSIO is now a platform that's been battle tested. It's been live. We've had attacks. Wax have had, major success. It's actually seen the transactional volume that it needs. A lot of these other chains haven't. Flow is one that has done quite well, but it doesn't have the throughput that it actually needs. It can only do around like 100 transactions per second. You can't have like a lot of the gamification aspects that you can have on top of EOSIO. So there is competitors, but it's super difficult to throw your hat in the ring, after the fact and then try and compete with something that's had 3 years worth of battle testing and community tools and things like that built. When you look at Cardano, it hasn't really actually released and having like products on top of it that have demand. It's going to be very difficult for them to compete with it, and that's the great thing about EOSIO being open source, that anyone can kind of grab it and use it for their product. So they don't have to really compete. They can kind of use it to their benefit. It's just a matter of when that shift happens and people start, connecting the dots and saying, oh, hang on, I can just use EOSIO and it's super fast and it's a blockchain and it's decentralized. And just like what Wax did, and then now look at Wax, they're killing it. Same as Ultra, they're using EOSIO and they're killing it.
So, yeah, it was ridiculous, right? Like just look at like MLB, it sold out in like two and a half minutes or something. Now the prices are already like, $1,500 for one pack or something ridiculous like that, right? And this is like the first of many, right? Like there's hints of what's to come, but like this doesn't involve the other sports teams, right? Like this doesn't involve Marvel, this doesn't involve Disney, this doesn't involve like Capitol Hill or Wall Street on the DeFi sector. Like these people are watching the market, but they're not involved yet. And I think it's just gonna, like you said, it's gonna explode. It's gonna be nuts. So,
but they need the transactional throughput. Like, for example, with Street Fighter on Wax, how you can do the crafting and those gamification aspects. You can't do that on any other blockchain. You just plain and simple can't. Like on Ethereum, imagine you spending $50 in gas if you wanted to upgrade your Street Fighter card or burn a card or something like that. Like no one's going to do that. On Flow, you can't do it because they don't have the transactional throughput. It can only do like 100 transactions a second. So if everyone on Flow had all these cards and they were trying to craft, the whole network would crash. So
well, and that, I mean, no offense to Street Fighter, and I'm not trying to throw shade in their direction, but that's a pretty minimal like task ask, right? Like burning a bunch of cards and then getting another card in return. Again, I'm not throwing shade because it was a cool idea. I like the way that they built that out. I like the way that these cards produce this, right? But like, look at what our planet has done now. right? Where they've got like these open source contracts that are crafting NFTs that are like creating new elements for their game. I mean, like there's no possible way that you could do that on any other chain, I don't think, right? Without that EOSIO technology. I mean, even EOSIO technology might be having trouble keeping up with some of the directions that they're headed, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's just cool to see it all playing out. Like I've just been watching it for 3 years now, and just it's all kind of playing out, and people are starting to understand. I think we've got some cool times ahead, especially with releases that I know people like Shintai and Block One are doing in kind of like the regulated finance space. I think once we start seeing some traction there, it'll be even cooler. All right, what do you got going on here, man?
Right. So while we chat, I figured I would bring us in here. This is actually the GenerEOS plot
Wow.
for the Uplift worlds. This is just a little bit of a tower here. We could take a selfie.
Jimmy built this out of the kindness of his heart for us, because I haven't actually got onto Minecraft yet because I've been too busy doing things. And you have built magnificent GenerEOS mountain, I believe. I can see it over there in the background.
Yeah. I mean, it's super fun, right? Like you can come in here, you can build like whatever. I've never played Minecraft before, actually, but like you said, putting this metaverse idea on the blockchain was brilliant. So you can see GenerEOS Mountain over here, which is pretty awesome, to be honest. It's basically floating in the middle of the ocean, it's the GenerEOS symbol. There's going to be a harbor in there. I haven't quite got around to doing it. I'm managing.
You got the colors perfect. You matched them perfect.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of help with this one, and originally it was just a 2D image that was laid on the ocean, and it looked pretty cool, but I was like, you know what, like that's kind of cool, but I just kind of want to like do something, new and original. So I took that and I just built a mountain out of it. Now this is a creative world, so like there's no economy really in this world, because like, I don't want anyone to come in and like, destroy all their gold, half of the bottom heart to, sell all the gold. But it's still pretty cool, and we can do some really interesting things. So I think the first thing that we'll do is we'll put up some gratitudes, because I think you've never actually put up your own gratitude. This is our gratitude monument here. We basically just put these gratitudes up whenever we can.
Awesome. Yeah.
There's a QR code here that's taken down, but this is something that we'll be able to do, Tim, as well, as we'll be able to have these QR codes linked to some of the things that we're providing in the real world with GenerEOS or Gempool, or even NFTs that might kind of be interesting. So we can, put those projects into this world, which will be really cool. So, Tim, what are you grateful for?
Ooh, okay. I think I would like to say on here that I'm grateful for the community. I think the EOSIO community is second to none. I think everyone in there is so supportive and so cool. And the times that you like get kind of wrecked on price, or you get upset, I always think back to how nice everyone's been in the community. So yeah, I'd really like to say that I'm grateful for the EOSIO community.
Me too, actually. It's always been a really cool place to be when the FUD comes around. Like sometimes there's things that go wrong or little displacements that happen, but people always seem to come back.
And just they're like common sense in the community. It's like everyone's really down to earth, and like they're not like people hyping up things for no good reason or pumping coins to like try and get a return. Everyone's actually got like quite a moral compass on them and have like are coming from a good place. It's a big reason why I'm still doing this today. It's just because everyone's so cool in the space. Everyone supports each other as well.
I'm grateful for. for the whole GenerEOS team if it fits on there.
For our tea, I like our tea as well.
GenerEOS team. Sorry, it doesn't really fit, but it's good. Yeah. So, like, and it's pretty cool. Like what we got going on here. That QR code doesn't work. You can try it, but it will take you to a really cool link. And yeah, I mean, I basically, this is a under the sea. It's just our gratitude monument that I decided to build. It's kind of fun, but that's this. People are going to be able to come in here. Let's try this way, because I kind of get lost and like tour around and see different things and go to different places and basically have a great time touring around and finding different things and interacting with the GenerEOS plot. And like I know like a lot of times we don't necessarily talk about what GenerEOS does in the main system, but one of the things that we're looking at doing, like you said, is supporting more of these kind of charity initiatives and also things like NFT, production types of things like that. So,
so have you I was looking on the website before. Are you guys doing any more plot releases, or what's your plans there?
Yeah, so right now this GenerEOS plot is actually in the middle of the creative Genesis map. There's also a survival map that exists, and that one's full. There's going to be a few others that come out. We're working on an art map actually, with a few other people that are going to create that sector. There's the main sector that is looking at London, which is kind of the community-centric map. There's basically, the potential for every world to spin up its own server. So we've got a lot of different ideas right now. We're just trying to get people, in the game and get the rewards pool spun up, right? So
yeah, again, it's as I was saying to you before, like this is so cool, like the integration with Minecraft. So you get all the cool features out of that. And then you also get the coolness out of like Wax and the speed of the EOSIO blockchain. So you can merge these two together. Like you couldn't do this on something like Ethereum, man. Can you imagine like trying to sell a plot and it's like $50 in gas fees and then, these little microtransactions that you guys are trying to bake into it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it just wouldn't be workable, right? So like, yeah, I mean, like we're under the ocean now, and like you can see, you can see the GenerEOS monument, up there, which is pretty cool. Like, yeah, and there's just so many things that you can do. I mean, this was supposed to grow trees, but apparently it's not working. So like, but like, yeah, I mean, it's just really super fun to come in here and see what all of the projects have been doing. So. Rewards, like I said, rewards are going to be going live really soon. And we're thinking alongside with Tim and Ralph and the rest of the team of, new and innovative ways to, get people to come and check out the GenerEOS plot. Like you're seeing like a really small amount. There's like 3 layers that go under the ground as well. This is the top one. Like there's somewhere you can find a glass floor along the bottom of the server floor, because the only way you can die in creative mode is to fall out of the server, which I actually did. So I decided, hey, why not build a glass floor and see what happens? So yeah, this is a cool little coral reef that we put in here. There's just tons of stuff, and so yeah, we're trying to think of like innovative ways to like. There's a few plots that are surrounding here with the community.
It would be cool if like we could donate stuff like through our plot. Like I don't know if like somebody was to come on and I don't know, write like a gratitude thing or write their social cause, and we could kind of tally up who wants what donated where, and it could be a way that we could gauge sentiment of a good social cause to donate to. Something like that would GenerEOS land would be super awesome. I don't know how we could do it, but should try.
We could definitely do it, and I'm definitely down. So like what you were saying before, it's interesting because Corey and I and the rest of the team, we've recently been talking about like Alien Worlds, and like what they've done with their kind of gamification process is absolutely just amazing. And we had Michael Yeats on the channel the other day, and he was talking about like how this actually isn't really a metaverse. What it is it's like a giant experiment to see how DAOs would actually work in the real world, right? And so your idea to be able to have that mechanism that would give people, that mechanism that would send people, to be able to vote on where those funds went. It's funny because that's my governmental, mechanism dream. I don't want democracy as it exists right now anymore. Actually, what I want is for governments to adopt blockchain in the way that, like, when you're voted into office, then you get to make those proposals. And then you don't get to decide, right? Like you do now. You get to make those proposals, and then every constituent that is in that region, they can go and they can vote, right? And the only benefit of holding office isn't to make the decisions; it's to be able to decide which proposals get put out there and proposed upon, right? And so I see this as kind of like a DAC, and what you're saying, I think, would be really cool, because what we could do, I think, with this is we could, like you said, have like some sort of DAC built within the game where people could come and we could say like, okay, punch sign, get NFT, and right at like after a set period, just as an example, I'm not saying this would work, but after a set period, whichever NFT is held in people's wallets, then that's where we send the money, right? Like there's a lot of really interesting gamification things that we could play around with, and I think charity and this plot is actually going to be huge if we do that. So yeah, like I don't think that there's any regulations or anything on that at all, Tim, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's kind of like, I think we'll learn a lot from Eden, what Dan's developing at this stage. Like, yeah. I think a lot of the technology that he's developing there will really innovate how these systems work. Because it can be exactly what you said. Like you could go through like the Eden voting and selection criteria to get the people that are able to do the proposals. So I'm super keen to see how that plays out, but I would love to see inside these metaverses, a donation pool. So for example, you can have 10% of every transaction or whatever goes to a donation pool, and then you have all the custodians can vote on where that gets donated to. It can be, climate change, people in Africa, blah, 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 but people can propose where it goes to, and then the custodians then vote on where it goes to. So it's all done transparently. Hopefully in the future, then the charities themselves would be operating on them. So then you can see them receiving the funds and then how their funds distribute, because that's a whole nother conversation about the transparency around the actual charities and how they distribute the money. But yeah, I'd love to see things like that roll out.
Right. Yeah. And I think it would be like, super cool to see how this would play out. So I'm not exactly sure when the rewards pool will actually be plugged in, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, what you guys do with it. Yeah, this is my kind of selfie portrait tower thing. Okay. So if you want to, if you want to feel good about, the world that you live in and what blockchain can do, go and read up on what's happening with GenerEOS, because these guys are awesome, and I really like being a part of it, even in the minimal capacity that I'm doing. And if you're in the uplift, come and follow this, sea lantern paradise over brick wall, over the coral reefs, over the biodome that's under the sea. Things that we're still in the process of building up, and climb up this ladder and look down on this, GenerEOS symbol of, goodness and everything that they're trying to support. And yeah, that's kind of my shout out to you guys. I'm really happy to be here with you, and I really want people to know what you're doing. And I mean, I've been honored and lucky enough to be able to take the role to put something together in this GenerEOS plot. And I've never played Minecraft before, actually, until this. And it was creative mode, and I figured out, a lot of things along the way. And I just ended up getting thrown into an ocean plot, which to me was crazy because I'm a permaculture designer, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with the ocean, right? But it was lucky it was creative mode. We were able to build, greenhouses underwater, figure out how to grow trees. There's waterfalls under there. There's coral reefs under there. There's like a little library under there. I've been taking that inspiration of what you guys are doing for, maintaining the ecosystem and trying to help where you can for this. We even put in a permaculture food forest, and we had like live animals, but then somebody killed all the animals for the whole server, so they're all gone now. Unfortunately, when we moved, they all died. But yeah, come and check it out, because I mean, that's not to toot my own horn. And all I did was put it on a 3D map in a metaverse that we're building. But this symbol means a lot to me. And what you guys are doing is just amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's super nice. And it surprises me that this is your first time, because that thing is like awesome. I don't know. You must be a quick learner.
Yeah, sometimes.
What else is going on in the land? Like, what's your second favorite kind of place?
There's tons of stuff going on. To be honest,
you have to guide me through it. I really need to get some time to sit down and go through all this stuff. But
well, it's hard. I mean, you can be whitelisted and do whatever you want here anytime. Obviously, I'm also managing another plot as well. For in the survival world, which is really slow going, because then you have to collect all the resources, right? So that's kind of fun. So you have these kind of two worlds, but there's some really good plots out there. I mean, Anders Any Observation has like a kick-ass build. He's got a whole team of people in there that's doing stuff in survival. There's a great interview on our channel with this guy, Avi. He's building for the Hustle House and a few other projects. And like, for some reason, he just loves Japanese architecture, and he's built like all of these kind of pyramids around and stuff like that. There's just tons and tons of great builds. The UX guys are in here. Origin One's in here. A lot of these guys are doing creative stuff. And what's funny to me is like a lot of the people that we know in the space that we work with day in and day out, like they're like hardcore Minecrafter guys. Like the Boyd plot is just amazing, right? Like the Boyd plot has mythology built into it. There's like crashed spaceships on the land. The guys that Blockbase had come in, like they built some weird glass, like, mini city floating in the sky that like shows their logo from the 2D map. Actually, if you look at the 2D map, there's a few projects that have logos. And so actually the nice thing about that GenerEOS heart, the logo, is you can actually see it from the 2D map. So anytime anyone goes into the 2D map, they actually see our logo almost like it would be from space. So that's kind of cool as well. There's a few other projects that have done that. Like there's way too many to shout them out. I think there's 48 projects altogether in just that one sector, in just that one map. And then there's other sectors above and beyond that. So. Oh
yeah, I'm looking at it now. So you've got above us, you've got Cypherglass. Then you've got us and then Tribe, right? Is that the map?
Sorry, no? that's the outdated version of the map. On the side, there's a little triangle on the side, on the right-hand side. Click on that triangle. You're on the original map. That sector was actually picked up and moved to its own map. The map that we're on now is called Genesis. We're on the Genesis map.
Okay.
It's really slow, actually. That site is really slow.
You got like Crypto Slam. There's heaps of people on here. This is insane.
Yeah, and that's just one map. And we got a great location too, actually, because we are beside what used to be Eos, Michael, Eos USA's plot. He built this crazy giant roller coaster. He had never played Minecraft either before. But then he decided that he was kind of bored, so he wanted to go into the survival map. So he like donated that. And so like we're basically surrounded by like, a crypto, we're by alien worlds, which is huge. We're by, Finney. There's a bunch of other people around us, which is really cool. And we're kind of one of the only ocean plots that, have awesome stuff that people don't see because they never go underground. So go underground and check out GenerEOS. Freaking awesome over there.
Oh, thanks, man.
So, yeah. So what's next? I know you got a hard out very soon, but just to wrap it up, next, look for in the next couple of weeks we'll be adding more to the Genpool spotlight. We've got a couple things on the go. Coming out on that end, and also, Tim is working on the dynamics alongside me and MBlue and maybe a couple other people on how we'll do this NFT drop release, and hopefully that's going to come out in the next week or two. And how that works actually is GenerEOS has pledged to donate up to, I believe, 400 EOS.
Yeah, 400 EOS.
For that cause. So GenerEOS will match whatever that NFT sale brings in up to 400 EOS. And then I guess the basic bottom line is we're going to use that funding to basically donate and show the world, as you said earlier, that blockchain can and should be carbon neutral, essentially, right?
Yeah, we'll donate that to a company that plants trees. So I'm currently just going through vetting a few potential causes at the moment. I really like to get in and understand them and make sure that the money is used in the right ways. So yeah, I'll donate that money to planting trees to offset the carbon emissions that's created from minting NFTs. So that's my plan. So hopefully, stay tuned, and we'll hopefully get that out within the next week or two. And then just us, I'm personally working on some pretty big projects in the NFT space. I can't say anything just because of legal reasons at this stage, but yeah, GenerEOS will be heavily involved in the NFT space, hopefully with some public news in the next couple of months. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting times for EOSIO NFTs at this stage. There's definitely some big name clients that are trying to get into the space. We're already seeing it with Aloha EOS and Token Wave with Funko being acquired. And yeah, there's a lot more opportunities like that happening. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a weird time for us because usually we go 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but as Tim pointed out, that's not, even I'm in Asia too, right? But that's not necessarily always so optimal because a lot of times Asia, Australia included, New Zealand included, some of these big powerhouses, they get left off of the English kind of, the English map. So I'm hoping to spin up kind of a new, kind of thing on this channel where we can include some of those people, yourselves, some of your partners, things like that, at times that actually work for us instead of making people get up at 6 a.m. in the morning. So maybe I'm hoping that you'll come back, in the next month or two, or maybe we'll get Ralph on. I know he's a little bit, busy right now with all the things that he's doing. But yeah, please come back and keep us updated on this channel. And we can do the same with the NFT drops. We can do the same with all of the news, and also subscribe to the GenerEOS YouTube channel if you're not already involved, and go over to genpool.io and check out the blog. There'll be things running in tandem, interviewing different projects throughout the space. If you're interested in having an interview on the Genpool blog or talking about something like that, reach out to me or reach out to us in the Telegram channel, and we'll see what we can do. We don't do paid advertising, but if we believe in what you bring to the space and we feel like it's worth covering, we totally want to cover it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, Jimmy's been doing a great job with the Genpool spotlights, and yeah, he's already done his first interview with MBlue, which was 2-parter on our YouTube channel. So hopefully we can keep that going. And yeah, it is difficult with the time zones. Data Junkie being in Canada, we offered for him to come on to this one, but it was 2 in the morning or something for him. So it's pretty hard to try and get everyone online. Yeah, hopefully we can do it more. I liked your idea about the round table, so maybe we can queue that one up.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting. We could even do a specific roundtable for like projects on this side of the world, because a lot of times they don't get to do it. We could have you guys. Crypto Lions is over here. There's a bunch of different block producers that are over here on this side of the world. So a roundtable about what these block producers are doing and why we're also sad that the rest of the world doesn't include us because we're sleeping. Just kidding, obviously, by the way. But thank you, Tim. Not kidding about the roundtable though. Let's do it. Let's put out some content in English for people on this side of the world. They deserve it. I deserve it because that means I can go to bed at a normal hour instead of staying awake until 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, Tim, for joining us. I hope to see you back again real soon. It was an honor and a pleasure as always.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, guys.